So here's a question for you. What do all of the films I previously covered have in common? Well, if you were to say they all take place in Hawaii, you'd only be half right. Sure, they're all filmed in Hawaii, but what they all do specifically is depict Hawaii as Hawaii. However, there are countless other films out there that take full advantage of Hawaii's tropical beauty and varying landscapes to create whole different worlds, and for the final film on our island tour, we'll head back to the Kualoa Ranch on Oahu's windward side that doubled as a small section of one of the most famous and dangerous theme parks in movie history.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
It's one of the biggest blockbusters of the last 30 years, a record-breaking moneymaker at the time of its release, and a groundbreaking pioneer in its use of state-of-the-art computer effects to bring dinosaurs back to life. Today, it continues to capture the imaginations of millions, leaving you with a simple cautionary warning. If you f*** with Mother Nature, expect to lose.
Life, finds a way.
It all began in 1990 with the publication of author and filmmaker Michael Crichton's best-selling science fiction novel, Jurassic Park, which meticulously explored the catastrophic consequences of using genetic engineering to recreate real-life dinosaurs and house them in a tropical amusement park. And who better to be swept away by the concept than powerhouse director Steven Spielberg, who went on to transform Crichton's gargantuan novel into an exciting, action-packed, and at times frightening tale of man versus nature, a theme that was apparent even when the cameras weren't rolling. By late summer of 1992, Jurassic Park had already been in pre-production for over 2 years, going through numerous script rewrites, endless research, and painstaking visual effects tests.
We spared no expense.
For the movements of the dinosaurs, Spielberg was originally planning on implementing special effects legend Phil Tippett's Go Motion technique, an advanced version of stop-motion animation. However, Spielberg would go on to make the game-changing decision to use a mixture of stunning animatronics created by effects wizard Stan Winston and convincing computer animation developed by George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic effects house to breathe life into these monstrous creatures.
Because it takes place ostensibly on an island, we were thinking about shooting in Costa Rica. But Stephen was a little concerned about the infrastructure, that is, whether we'd have roads and whether we could get equipment there and other kinds of facilities that we would need. So we opted for a place where he had worked before, the island of Kauai in Hawaii. And that became the exterior jungles during the day.
To give Jurassic Park its authentically exotic and remote island feel, Spielberg decided to use the majestic landscapes and jungles of Kauai, which is where the film's on-location principal photography began in August 1992 and was scheduled to last roughly 1 month. But little did the crew realize that real danger and destruction was headed right for them.
Doctors, if you please, I have to insist that we get moving.
Friday morning, September 11th. 1992, how well it's ingrained in my mind. And I got a phone call very early in the morning telling me that some of the crew, local crew, had called in saying they weren't coming. And that was our first real realization that Iniki had made a turn towards Kauai.
We turned up for work one morning and we were told, we're not going to work today because there's a hurricane coming in. Actually, it seems to be heading straight for us.
September 11th, 1992 was supposed to be the final day of filming on Kauai. However, that morning, the island was struck by Hurricane Iniki, the most powerful hurricane to ever hit Hawaii, with wind gusts reaching nearly 190 miles per hour.
I turned on CNN. I literally turned on to a map of the Hawaiian Islands with a huge red line around Kauai and a huge, strange icon for a hurricane pointing directly at our island.
Spielberg and his 130 cast and crew members were ushered into the ballroom of their concrete reinforced hotel and camped out there until the storm passed.
I'll never forget when the eye of the storm passed directly over the hotel. We got out and looked up. It was beautiful, blue sky above and just a wall of white clouds surrounding the hotel, slowly moving about like this. I'd never seen anything like it before. It was a special effect.
The hurricane caused nearly $2 billion worth of property damage to the state of Hawaii, killed 6 people, and injured over 100 more. And while Oahu suffered its fair share of Iniki's wrath, the storm hit Kauai the hardest by far. When the Jurassic Park crew exited the hotel the next morning, they saw nothing but devastation. Downed trees and flattened homes as far as the eye could see, and needless to say, the film sets were also destroyed.
The whole crew had to get used to dealing with that whole concept, which is in fact, of course, what the whole movie is about in relationship to controlling life and dinosaurs. And that, of course, segued right into trying to deal with a force of nature that you cannot control.
That was an experience that we'll never forget, none of us.
Following the cataclysmic storm, the Jurassic Park crew made its way to Oahu, specifically the Kualoa Ranch, to film what has since become one of the movie's most memorable sequences. Following their famous run-in with a fearsome Tyrannosaurus Rex, archaeologist Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, and the park owner's 2 grandkids, Tim and Lex Murphy, come across a stampeding herd of ostrich-like dinosaurs known as Gallimimus, and run for cover behind a giant log just as a hulking T-Rex bursts through the trees and devours one of the darting dinos. So we return to the Kualoa Ranch on Oahu, the family-owned property where countless movies have filmed, Jurassic Park probably being the most recognizable. Down in the ranch's Ka'ava Valley, surprisingly close to one of the shooting locations we saw from 50 First Dates, is where the 3 Jurassic Park actors fled from the group of Gallimimus. They seek refuge behind the log and witness the T-Rex reveal itself from this bed of trees that line the valley. Even though these kinds of computer effects are taken for granted these days, it was quite a challenge in 1993 to develop a way for computer-animated creatures to share the screen with real actors. But due to the tireless efforts and seemingly endless experimentation, this scene has since become a prime example of early CGI magic that still, for the most part, holds up very well today, and this very section of the Kualoa Ranch can be seen on one of their many guided tours. When Jurassic Park was finally released during the summer of 1993, it became the highest-grossing film of the year, spawned 2 hit sequels, and continues to live on through a wide variety of toys, books, and video games. In 2015, the Jurassic Park franchise will stomp its way back to the big screen with the latest installment, Jurassic World, returning to the same site from the original film, which has since become a seemingly thriving theme park, and according to these early set photos, the Kualoa Ranch on Oahu will once again be a filming location. Here's to hoping that's a good sign that Jurassic World will be a great film, but all I can say is that it is truly a mind-blowing experience to visit the actual place where the spectacular Gallimimus stampede sequence was filmed over 20 years ago, and to see that it still pretty much looks the same as it did in Jurassic Park. Now, as much as I would love to dig further into the nitty-gritty of Jurassic Park's brilliant special effects, the intense action set pieces, and colorful cast of characters, we're running short on time, so that'll all have to wait until a future episode.